All right, so this page here is regarding your personal history. So we'll go through each question one by one, starting with the first one here, where it's asking, are you or do you intend to become, within the next 2 years, a member of the armed forces, including the reserves, or are you on alert? So this is just if you are either currently, in the military, or you plan to become or be part of the military within the next 2 years, either the actual armed forces or the reserves. So if yes, we'll want to know the details on that. And it's actually going to have you complete a military supplement here, which will be the next thing you'll fill out. And really, for any of these next questions, if you answer yes to any of them, it's going to have you fill out a secondary supplement, which will automatically pop up after you complete this page. So next question is, do you intend to change your occupation within the next 2 years? So this is just if you have any plans at all to change your job or your occupation in the next 2 years. Next is if you intend to reside outside the US within the next 2 years. So if you plan to live outside the country within the next 2 years, then we'll want to know the details on that if yes. Next is, do you intend to travel outside the US within the next 2 years? Now this part right here, because we get this question a lot. Now, the main thing that our underwriters are looking for is if you have any booked travel in the next 2 years outside the US. If this is something that you're unsure on, then maybe you have plans to do, but you don't have it booked, like you don't have a plane ticket for it yet, it's not important that you answer it. You can, obviously, if you just want to know, you just want to tell the underwriters the details, but unless it's it's something that you're actually going to do and it's on paper, you have a ticket for it and everything like that, unless it's all of those, then it can just be a no. Next question is, if you've ever had your driver's license suspended or revoked, or you've been convicted of operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs, or within the past 5 years, have you been charged with and or convicted of any motor vehicle moving violations? So there's quite a few questions in this one question here. So it's basically asking if you've ever had your driver's license suspended or revoked. And this is pertaining to really any, operating while you're operating a motor vehicle. So if you had like a DUI or DWI, anything where there's alcohol or drugs involved, or within the last 5 years, if you have been charged with and or convicted of any motor vehicle moving violations. This part right here, this question, it's not asking for if you had like any speeding tickets or anything like that. This would be if there was an actual charge or conviction, because we get that question a lot. Is that I have multiple speeding tickets, so I need to let you guys know that if it's a speeding ticket and there was no charge, then you don't need to put that on this question. Next is, within the last 2 years, have you flown as a licensed pilot, student pilot, or crew member in any type of aircraft, or do you intend to do so in the next 2 years? Again, right, this is not regarding commercial flying, like for travel, like if this is more so if you have, or maybe you're a pilot, a student pilot, or a crew member in any type of aircraft, or if you plan to do so in the next 2 years. So whether that's active or you're planning to become a pilot or a crew member, like a flight attendant, for example, in the next 2 years for the intention to become one, or if within the last 2 years, if you are currently a pilot or a student pilot or crew member. And next here is, within the last 2 years, have you participated, or in the next 2 years, do you intend to participate in any of the following activities: mountain climbing, rock climbing, scuba diving, hang gliding, parachuting, skydiving, motor vehicle racing? So this would be if actively you're doing any of these. Have you done any of these in the last 2 years? Or if you haven't and you're planning on it in the next 2 years, do any of the following activities mentioned here, then we'll want to know the details on that. Now, if very similar to the travel here. So if this is a case where like, you know, I may be going skydiving for my 30th or for my 50th birthday, or is, you know, like if this is kind of like a once in a lifetime event that you're planning to do, you probably don't need to add the details on that unless you absolutely want to. What they're looking for is a type of, you know, potential risk that could happen. So if this is something that, you know, unless you are currently participating in it, or you actually plan to, like for example, we have a client who is actually planning to get his license to be a skydiver instructor, or either his license to be an instructor or get certified in skydiving. So in that case, right, that would be something that we want to know. But if it's just like, you know, I plan to go mountain climbing possibly for, you know, my birthday, or to check that off on my bucket list someday, then we don't need to know the details. If it's actually something that, unless it's actually something that's going to be a risk, so it's what the point is. And then next question here is, within the last 10 years, have you been convicted of or pled guilty or no contest to a felony or such charge pending against you? So this would be if, again, right, in the last 10 years, if you've ever been convicted of or pled guilty or no contest to a felony. I would even put if there's like a sort of a misdemeanor that happened in the past, or something that is currently pending. So if you're, for example, if you're going through a trial where there could be a sort of a potential conviction, where you could be charged of something, even if it hasn't been completed yet, then the underwriters will want to know, as long as that it's something that's pending or something that has happened in the last 10 years. And then lastly here, this would be your tobacco or tobacco products usage. So this includes, but not limited to, cigarettes, cigars, pipes, chewing tobacco, snuff, hookah, nicotine gum, nicotine patch, and any electronic delivery devices. So this is a kind of a very generic question where it's like, you can really answer yes or no to that, because we get a lot of questions on this too from clients. So this would really be more so if you are actively using any of these tobacco or tobacco products mentioned here, or if you were, you know, like an active smoker in the past. This is not, if you smoke, you know, a cigar once in a while, like on a very, very rare occasion, it's not asking for that. This would be more so if you're actively, you know, maybe on like a weekly or a daily basis, you're using any of these products, or if maybe you're a smoker, but then recently quit, then you'll want to input that information too. But if this is something that you don't do, right, like I mentioned, the occasional cigars, like on a like an anniversary or something like that, then that's technically not going to be considered a usage, because what they're looking for here is just something that's active and something that's frequent.